On. Good afternoon, everyone. Evening. I keep saying afternoon for God's sake. Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to Real Reds Talk. It is your breaking daily news show. And today we've finally got some good news rather than utter bollocks or you know, just the usual kind of stuff that you get in January. And that news is the main story is Amad Diallo's contract will be signed tomorrow. We have all the specific details on that. Unfortunately, as well, we have a Marcus Rashford update, which we'll discuss if the lads are up for it. Striker targets as well. And a cool down on the Nuno Mendes deal potentially, well, at least in January, and that's coming from Samuel Luckhurst as well. But yeah, lads, Amad Diallo, new deal at United, will be valid until June 2030. Understand there's no extra year included in that deal. Despite calls from two top clubs even this month, Amad only wanted to stay and renew his contract at Manchester United. Sam, can only be good news, right? Surely.
Where's your champagne, Nick? Like, I thought you'd be celebrating this. I thought you'd be like going off. I thought you'd be well happy about this.
I am happy. I might not look it, but I just, you know what? Today I've just got a minging headache. You know when you get those lingering headaches when you're staring at the screen. So
I feel you.
Sorry,
you need to get some. You need to get some blue light glasses, mate. Get some blue light glasses.
I have got some somewhere, but
wear them. Wear them. They'll help you out. Yeah, no, fantastic news. I think he's gonna wear sunglasses. Is that what you're putting on? As he rolls up, here he goes. There he is.
Sheriff, don't I?
So that's more. Yeah, you've just pulled me over for speeding.
Excuse me, sir. License and registration, please. Yeah, I do feel like.
Step out of the vehicle, sir. Put your hands on the car.
I don't know if it's polite. Sorry, I keep cutting you in, but I'm just thinking you can see the reflection in my screen, so you can literally see it on me.
Yeah.
Okay. As long as you've not got anything dodgy on the screen,
yeah,
we should be all right. Yeah. Like your bank details or something. But yeah, Amad Diallo. I mean, you finished that sentence. You finished that sentence.
Nah, you know what I was gonna say? I was gonna allude to. Do you know when we was doing the After Dark?
Oh yeah.
And that thing popped up. That's what I was gonna allude to, and then I stopped myself. So yeah, probably a good job I did stop myself.
Did we get that? Is that on video or did I cut it out?
No, it was just everyone reacting, going, "What the fuck was that?" And everyone was laughing their head off. And I was like, "You do not want to know. You don't want to know." So
I wish we've got that on video. That would have been fantastic to play as a club. Yeah. Nah, fantastic news. Of all the players that we've got in the squad who deserve a new contract, and there isn't many. Let's face it.
Yeah.
He's probably the one. He was going to run out at the end of this year, and I think it was super important to tie him down to a long-term deal, 5.5 years, which is fantastic. I assume he's getting a pay bump because I think he wasn't on. Is it 40k he was on or something?
He went on a great wage, was it? His first contract.
So as a first team starter, which he is now, one of the most influential players in the squad, he deserves to have pay that reflects that. So he's on that, and then we've got him tied down. So somebody does want to come in for him, like those two clubs that came in, they're going to have to pay up big bucks to get him. So yeah, all good news all around, and I'm happy that he wanted to stay and he turned other people down. He wants to stay at the club, which is always nice to hear. So fantastic news. I'm happy, man. I'm really happy.
Yeah, if you have a kind of top 3, top 5 Shreyas of players that you would, you know, like to keep at the club and extend a contract, who would be on that list? I'd imagine Amad's on that, right?
Yeah, Amad is definitely on it. Mazraoui is definitely on it. And if not, apart from them, Menu. That's pretty much it. When you look at the players who had want to build this team around for the long term with this manager, I think these three fall into that sort of category because they've been flawless since they've come in. I think these three, especially Amad and Menu, considering their age and considering the fact that that Amad was around at the club but was not getting any minutes last season. Now he's come into this team. And now that he's come in, he's become a mainstay in this team. Like if you put him out, whether it's at a right wing back position, whether it's as as that inside 10, he does a flawless job in every single one of those games. And the impact and effect that he has on this team, no other player is able to do that in his position. Like if you put Garnacho in his position, you put some other player in that 10 position or wing back position, no one is able to even come near to the amount of quality that he offers on the pitch. So I think it is well deserved, and I think it is very good that United are actually acting on it very quickly, because you don't want to be in that sort of situation where the summer rolls in and then you're trying to negotiate a contract with him, because when big clubs do enter and maybe United finish 9th or 10th, the player might have some second options to actually look at that. Maybe I go there and get Champions League football.
Why do we think Sammy's chose United? Like, because he seemed pretty eager even when Eric Ten Hag was there in the summer, and this was after he'd hardly had any minutes at all, and he was only just first breaking into the team. But he was like, I can see myself staying here forever. So it's clearly more than just game time, isn't it?
Yeah, he seems like a very family guy, a very humble type of guy. He doesn't seem too sort of flashy or out there with like the way he is. I know he's very, very religious as a Muslim. Like I know he's like very sort of dedicated to that. He had that was it his auntie or his uncle that was more like a parent that died.
Yeah, it's like his stepmom wanted it or something, I think.
Yeah.
Like
and he was like quite sort of emotional about that after the game and dedicated the goal to her and stuff like that. So he seems like quite a nice, genuine guy. So maybe he's developed like a connection with the club, a connection with the fans. Maybe he's like he loves the city. I know he was a victim of child trafficking from Ivory Coast to Italy. So he's not had a great life in his early years. So maybe he's felt a connection with the city. He's felt at home. He's felt a connection with the fans, the club, and maybe that's where he's gone. I want to stay here. And he's been given that opportunity under Ruben Amorim and had this run of games, and he's been influential for the team, and people are singing his praises, rightly so. Maybe he's gone, yeah, this is where I want to be. I don't want to just abandon this of clubs that gave me my chance and gave me this opportunity. I don't want to abandon that. Some players like to dedicate themselves to a club for a long time. They don't like to do. There's my light dying. I'll fix that in a minute. They don't like to sort of jump around, whereas other players do. Some players go to a club for 2-3 years and then they go to the next one, and that's how it works. Some other players like to stay for a long time. So, yeah.
He's had to work for it, though, when he Shreyas, if you think his development, what he's been through from Rangers loan to the Sunderland loan to then, because everyone thought after the Sunderland loan, right, it's time to kick on now, it's time to, go and do the business. It didn't really necessarily work out like that, did it?
Yeah, I mean, look, he had a very good season at Sunderland. He impressed a lot of people at Sunderland as well. They wanted to, get him on loan the next season as well, because he was clearly not getting any minutes under Eric Ten Hag last season. And even this season, the way he started off this season, during preseason, he was by far one of our best players during preseason. And even when the season kicked on in the first few games, he did manage to get a few starts. But after that, he was once again dropped, and we reverted back to that Garnacho, Rashford, and Højlund front three. We saw Anthony once again getting minutes in that position. So he wasn't really someone who was banged on as a starting option during Eric Ten Hag's tenure. And now that after Eric Ten Hag left, Root took the job. He was one of the best players under Root in those 3 to 4 games, and he was able to carry that momentum into Ruben Amorim's system as well, where he played in a position where he's not really accustomed to actually play in that position during the early days of Ruben Amorim. He played as a right wing back. He really improved on his defensive side of play, positionally as well. The way he was able to actually stretch out the width of the midfield, he worked very well as a right wing back. And now that he's moved on to that number 10 position, he's more of a threat when he's moving around the box. His technical ability is more on show. You can also see his smartness whenever he's trying to take the ball out wide, or if he's trying to look for that extra pass. So I think as time goes by, I think as by the time the season actually ends, I think his output is only going to increase more and more, because we're finally at least able to see some stability in our front three. At least we know that Bruno is going to be playing on one side, Ahmad is going to be playing on one side, and they do. If you look at it, Bruno and Ahmad do complement each other quite well. They are able to maintain that balance, which makes it difficult for opposition teams when we are off the ball. It provides a better press when you've got Bruno and Ahmad in those tens.
Yeah, it's the collection of attackers. If we're going to start developing quality in these areas, Sam, I think we need, well, it's obvious that we need more players like Amad Diallo. And it's weird because obviously we've criticised the recruitment at United for a long time, but this is a signing that was under John Murtough and Richard Arnold, so they've managed to get something right, it seems.
Yeah, they did overpay for him though, didn't they?
Like, it was expensive for sure.
37, 38 million for...
Yeah.
It was weird because he was like 20 odd million, but then there was a load of add-ons, like weird add-ons.
Yeah.
Was included in the thing. So.
And he was what, 18 when we bought him? 19
I think so.
Yeah.
It was a lot of money, and he only played what, 11 games or something for them for Atalanta at the time. So it's a lot of money. Like, it is an overpay. Like, don't get me this wrong. In the grand scheme of things, you look at that 40 million for a player like Ahmad is probably a good deal. But at the time, for a guy
Yeah.
who played 11 games and you weren't sure of his ability yet, that's quite a lot of money. So it is an overpay. But I think me and Chivy have said this before. Our scouts have identified really good talent before. We just haven't moved for them. But there was a massive Athletic article. I can't remember, it was a couple of months ago. Do you remember when they were talking about Sesko and they were offered him for for 2 million, and we were trying to haggle on it and go 1.1 and stuff like that, and then he ended up going to Salzburg and then Leipzig, and now he's worth what 70, 80 million. There's a history of that because we thought we could bully our way around as United, Ed Woodward could, and just sign whoever and get it for cheap, and then we end up overpaying for superstars. So it's been a history of that. Like, Ralph Ragnick identified a bunch of players: Haaland, Julian Alvarez, Casido. Like, the other thing, Casido went for 100 million. Haaland went for 70 million. Julian Alvarez just gone to Atletico for 80 million. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's stupid that we haven't been listening to our scouts. So I'm hoping now we start to listen to these scouts, and we seem to have identified some good players. Ahmad's one of them. Mazraoui's one of them. Ugate's one of them. Delict, I think he's getting there as well. I think he's a good signing as well. And I think we're starting to identify these players. So hopefully, as time goes on, we get to that point where we sign up these young gems and they can develop into the team. Hopefully, that's the case now.
Yeah, I was just looking at the deal when we first signed him. So 18 years old he was. He'd had 24 minutes in the first team, I think it says it. And we bought 21 million euros initially, then plus another 20 million euros on top of that in add-ons as well. I was trying to find the specific add-ons, but I couldn't really find them. I'd imagine it was like a certain amount of appearances in the first team and things like that. But look, sometimes you get these signings, especially at United, and we can look back and say what a shit deal that was, never worked out. This is one that you can definitely say they've had good recruitment on, but I suppose sometimes with this big bulk of shit that we've had in recruitment, you get the odd gem. So good news all around. I'm sure all the lads are happy with that, I'm sure. But now it's about kind of refining those attacking areas, Shreyas. And again, we have to speak about Marcus Rashford. I honestly, I actually don't want to talk about him anymore because I feel like I'm already getting bored of this transfer.
Should we just have like a cutaway video of go answer Marcus Rashford news, and it just cuts away to what the text or whatever the news is, just the news, whatever it is, and then we'll just cut back. Okay, moving on because.
What's becoming apparent, we know there's a load of clubs that are linked with him. Shreyas, there's Dortmund, Juventus, etc. We know all of them, but AC Milan apparently the favourites at the moment. Marcio reported last night that they've offered to loan him with the option to make the deal permanent, and Italy is his most likely destination as well, which we already heard from Laurie Whitwell yesterday. Does that make the most sense though? I don't know. I'm kind of looking at it. We've spoken about it yesterday, I know as well, and this is why I'm saying like I hate talking about it because there's an update, but is there an update? I don't know. Can we just fucking sell him? Can I just say that?
Yeah.
Sell him.
Look, I think it's going to be this way for the next couple of weeks. That deals are advancing, getting closer. But AC Milan do look to be in pole position right now to sign him. I think a good deal for him. I think he really needs a change of environment. I don't think that moving to another club in the Premier League would actually help him a lot. I think moving to this area might be the best move for him. Whether moving to Milan is the best move for him is still a question because Milan is a team that is in transition right now. They are already in a lot of trouble. They need that sort of signing that can elevate them up to the table. But for them to be banking completely on Marcus Rashford, I think it's a very big gamble, even on AC Milan side. And like we mentioned yesterday as well, where does he play across that front three? He's not going to play as a left winger. He's not going to play as a right winger. He's going to be playing as that number 9.
Well, I was looking into this and I was listening to some kind of European experts before who've been watching AC Milan a lot closer than I've been doing because I've only seen bits of them this season. And it was like they've been playing well, but they need goals apparently. And I think for the players at the moment in the league, top goal scorers are Rangers and someone else on 4 goals. I think it is just in Serie A. So they need it. They're probably thinking if we can get Marcus in the form that we've seen him in before, which a lot of United players seem to do in Italy, don't they? Then that can help us significantly climb the table. But again, it's the stumbling block with this will always be wages, won't it?
Yeah. I think the wages are going to be tough as well. And to get that sort of output from him once again, especially in a position where he's being pretty open about it, that he's not really
Yeah.
as comfortable, or he isn't well suited to play as a number 9. I think it's going to be very tough for him to settle in there, because the Serie A is not an easy league. I think right now, with the kind of position Milan are in, and with the kind of clubs that are there, Inter Milan have been amazing this season. You look at Napoli, who have been really good. Fiorentina have been really good. There are clubs around there as well, Bologna and some other clubs who have been doing fairly decent. So it's a very competitive league this season. Atlanta have been crushing it for in Serie A this year as well. So it's going to be very tough. And if it goes right, maybe we can get some, good deal. We can get a very good deal on Marcus Rashford, but it's going to be a very big gamble, because I'm not sure that if he moves to Milan, he ends up getting like 20 goals by the time the season ends. It's going to be very tough.
Yeah. We're kind of mirroring Milan's situation at the moment, Sam, because we're struggling for goals as well, but then we're letting a player who has shown that he can bag. We had James Ducker report from the Telegraph before that United's efforts to recruit a striker this month are not necessarily dependent on a forward departing, so it seems like we're going to get one regardless. That's just according to him. Who do we go for, though? I know we've already discussed Kolo Muani, so I don't want to throw that name into the mix, but is there anyone else even available on the market at the moment?
No, nobody I would be like, yeah, that's a guy I would go after. Colin Moani seems to be the strongest linked one with legitimate sources in David Ornstein, so that looks like it's got legs if David Ornstein's reporting on it. This is not trying to think of a shit guy. This is not Neil Custard saying United are buying Colin Moani. Do you know what I mean? So like that seems to have got some legs for it, and it seems like the right fit, a loan deal, player out of favour. Like that seems like a good fit. That's what United are going to have to look at. They're going to have to look for a player that they can get for little to no money, and a player who's possibly out of favour at the club. Because if you want a top striker, they're probably going to be flying for their club. They're going to not want to leave, and they're going to cost a shit ton of money. So you're going to have to go down a level to get a striker like available within January. So you've got to look at those sort of guys, and like none of those guys sort of strike me as, oh my god, this guy's going to be amazing. So yeah, you've got to sort of temper your expectations a little bit. Obviously, we'd all love Gyökeres, but it's just, let's face it, be reality.
Yeah.
It's never going to happen in January. Like, it's just not. It's probably not going to happen in the summer either, if we're honest. So let's temper our expectations. And if Colin Riley does get through the door, let's give him an opportunity and see what he can do. Or maybe we've scouted a young lad who's. I know we had tabs on Gavassi, who went to Dortmund. And then we had, who was the other guy we had tabs on as well? Can't remember the name of him. He'll come back to me. But yeah, we've got all these like things linked over. So maybe there is somebody we don't know about that they have been sort of like looking at, and they might come in. But yeah, Colin Moani seems to be the one that's sort of the name that's out there in a minute.
I was reading something before as well, and he'd be saying that United actually know a lot about Kolo Muani, because before they signed Rasmus Højlund, we was linked with him, if you remember, quite strongly. So they've already done the due diligence. They've got a lot of scouting reports on him and stuff, and that's why they're saying the deal is more likely than not. But I'm looking at the situation at the minute in January. If there's one target to get, what do we prioritise here? What do we think?
I'd say left back,
left
wing back.
I think
over everything else.
Yeah,
I think if you get that left wing back and he can start connecting up with whoever the 10 is on that left, whether that's Bruno or Amado or whoever, and then they can do the overlap and they can get balls and they'll go cross the balls into the box for Højlund or whoever's up top, I think you start to see a bit more goals.
Yeah.
Because Diallo, up until recently, seems to be afraid to cross the ball at any point.
It's weird, isn't it?
Doesn't want to do it.
Because he had a really good performance against Trent, and then you're like...
Yeah. He's like, he just seems hesitant to do it. Mazraoui is really good, but
not a wing back.
Is he that guy? He's not a wing back, is he really?
He's better as a right centre back.
Yeah. So I think that's the key position. And I think you'll start to see more goals from our forward line if you can get that position in. But the only name I've seen linked with any sort of like seriousness is Nuno Mendes, and I don't see that deal getting done, if I'm honest.
Well, hold that thought. You're spot on, because Samuel Lucas reported before, Shreyas, that United are not actively targeting Nuno Mendes this month. United are expected to be in the market for a left-back, but in the summer. So they might go January without a left back. Doesn't sound like the correct decision, does it?
I mean, it's once again. I think we all know that we are strapped for cash at the moment. We are
We are
not.
broke.
Even if, yeah, and even if we do go for deals, it will be loan ones. I think we do get one loan in, but it's going to be very tricky as to what sort of player we are able to get in. I think when you move into the summer window, the options actually open up for you a lot more. Nuno Mendes becomes a real option. Alfonso Davies becomes a real option. We've been linked massively with Miguel Gutierrez in the past few weeks as well, who's a very good left back, can function as a left wing back as well. So there are options, but I think the best bet for us to move for those options is going to be in the summer. I think at the max we just get one signing in, and with the way things are looking, it's either going to be a left wing back or it's going to be a striker. One of those players we get in on loan.
I really want a striker. And maybe that's because recency bias, because I watched Diallo perform against Liverpool and I thought, okay, he's done pretty good there. And then I watched Højlund and I was like, this boy's struggling a little bit. But it's just opportunities, isn't it? It's whoever's available. I haven't seen any standout options at left back who are going to leave mid-season, because if you're going to go in for a Robinson, Kirkes, any of these guys, one, they're above us in the league, first and foremost, so they're dropping down. And two, it's mid-season. The clubs are just not going to let an important player like that go.
If you're going to get him, it's going to cost you 50, 60, 70 million in January, and we haven't got it. The only guy you think we're above is Lake Nori, but they're not going to let him go in mid-season when they're fighting a relegation scrap.
I don't think he'd be cheap either, Sam, to be honest.
Probably not, but I think they're not going to let him go because they're in the middle of relegation, so they need all their good players. Exactly. So they're not going to let Cunha, Lake Nori go already. Yeah. Those guys. So
Pune, I think, just signed a new deal too.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
It did.
So that's where you're stuck. Like you said, you're stuck on people who are available and are relatively cheap, and they don't exist, a lot of them.
The only potential ones I can think of that they might go for in January is someone like Alvaro, because you've got a 16 million buyback clause in there. Maybe they'll go for that, but then do you need to do that in January? Like, is he going to come in and hit the ground running and you know what I mean? Be like a top player? And I just don't know. Don't convince me completely, as opposed to all the other options. And then Kolo Muani is the other one who I'd be like, I look at both of them, I'd rather bring in Kolo Muani, personally, if it's out of them two. I think he'll have more of an impact on the team.
Depends what Ruben Amorim thinks is going to be the biggest impact, doesn't it? It depends what he thinks. Is a left wing back the key to getting his team scoring goals, or does he think he needs a striker that can put the ball in the back of the net consistently? What does he think is the best option? So that's what it comes down to at this point. We've all got our opinions, but they seem to be talking like they're going to do something. Everything's sort of pointing towards they're going to do something. What that something is, I really don't know.
Yeah. No. I'm looking at the top goal scorers at the moment, Shreyas. Bruno with 4, Rashford with 4, Xerxes with 3, Garnacho with 3, Ahmad with 3. That's in the Premier League so far this season. If you was to replicate that the rest of the season, I just don't know where the points are going to come from in a game. I appreciate they had a really good performance against Liverpool, but goal scoring is still going to be a massive issue when the window closes.
Yeah, it's going to be. And I think this season we are relying on 2 very young strikers in Højlund and Xerxes. Unfortunately, both of them haven't really been able to get their groove on in this system. I think it is going to take some time. I think the goals will come, but it's going to take some time. It's genuinely going to take some time. I think players do look better. Bruno looks a lot better. He had a massive performance against Liverpool as well. Ahmad as well looks very comfortable, looks very good on the ball whenever he is around. I think once we get that, I think we really need a striker who can actually, stabilize that front three so that we get some fluidity in our attack, because the midfield works fine. The defense works really good with Maguire as that centerpiece as well. He had a massive performance too. We need someone who can come into that attack and actually, get it flowing, because that's an area where we are actually getting a lot more disconnected than people actually think. Because I've seen us playing ball out from the back. I've seen us playing ball out from counter pressures against Liverpool as well, and we look quite comfortable while we were doing it. The moment we get the ball into the final third, that's where the problems actually start for us to happen. So whether it's Kolo Muani, whether it's someone else in, I think it's going to be tricky, but I think we do need someone in there. I'm not saying whether we need another. I wouldn't say go in for another youngster like a 20, 22-year-old, because that's just going to add much more pressure on the players that we've already got. I think we need someone in who can genuinely deliver you 15 to 20 goals at the very least every single season.
We know outgoings are going to be important, Sam. We just had an update coming in right now, so it'll be like the last thing that we touched on. Sorry, Al Nassr are continuing to push for the signing of Casemiro this window. Sources in Saudi confirm Ronaldo was pushing the CEO to sign him and believes he'll be a fantastic fit for the side. All parties involved in this deal are hoping it'll move quickly. That would be amazing, wouldn't it, if we could do that?
Pay the money. I will drive him to the airport right now. I'll drive him to the airport myself. Just pay up, get those wages off the books, and pay us some cash. Just that, that would be big. That would be really, really big, and that would help us get a player or maybe two in. If we can get those wages off the books and get a transfer fee in, that means we can possibly go get the striker and get the left back. That means we could sort of like operate in the market a bit more freely. The left back I wanted to bring up, I was looking into him. We did get linked to him. Patrick Dorgu from Lecce. I don't know if you heard about him, but I was just looking him up. So like some of the stuff and it just sounds like he is ideal for this team. So physicals, he's a rare blend of strength and pace, excellent acceleration, agility, dominant in duels and carries. God, do we need that? Technical, strong dribbler and a tackler, hard to dispossess, tough to beat one-on-one. Again, how many times do we get beat one-on-one like in that side? 20-year-old Dane excels as a right wing, left back, left wing back, right back, box to box, domination, off ball, good pace for transitions, solid defensive intensity as a presser. Like he sounds perfect. Like he sounds fantastic. And apparently, because Lecce are in some sort of financial issue, you could get him for a relatively cheap fee. And he's 20 years old, so he fits in with the sort of model that we're sort of trying to build and stuff like that. So I like him. I like the sound of him a lot. I need to watch some clips on him to see how it actually works out in his game. But yeah, he sounds really good.
Yeah, I do feel like we're gonna have to box clever. I mean, I've put the wages up on the screen, our current wages, and we put it in the chat before, didn't we? And we were speaking about it. Casemiro 350, Bruno 300, Marcus 300, Mount 250, Anthony 200. Obviously Sancho's off the books now, but Eriksen and Luke Shaw are both 150 grand a week. These are a lot of players, Shreyas, that you need to shift, don't you? Because I added it up before, and this was just like a small calculation to some of the top earners involved, and you know, per month you are saying 1.4 million a week on players who can't even get a game. 5.6 million pounds a month. That is crazy money that's being fucking wasted.
Yeah, because none of these guys are even getting any minutes. Like Luke Shaw isn't even around. Casemiro doesn't get any minutes. Anthony does not get any minutes as well. So we are paying them a lot of money for doing absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
So it's better to get them off the books as soon as possible, because their value is only going to decrease as time goes on. Their value is going to decrease much more by the time the summer window actually comes around. So the quicker we can offload them, the better. As far as that left back position is also concerned, Luke Shaw is on 150. I think Malacia is on something around 75 or 80 as well. So, and none of those guys are actually that active in that first starting 11 to actually.
Don't worry, because Shaw is due back soon, lads. He's looking.
Oh,
good
is he really?
Is
he really?
Yeah.
For 2 hours.
Let's see how long he lasts, shall we?
Is it after the next international break, like the rest?
Probably. Probably, yeah.
That Mason Mount deal is looking more and more every week like a fucking horrific deal, isn't it?
Yeah.
250 a week, and we paid 60 million for him in the last year of his deal.
But then how do you like to find out? Because obviously he's been really injury prone. Does this stuff not show in the medicals?
I'm sure it does. I think, and in his final season at Chelsea as well, it wasn't that Mount played every single game. He
had a pelvis. A pelvis.
Yeah.
It was
pelvic. Was it a hip or a groin? Something
around that. Yeah, like and he was out for quite a while. But prior to that, I don't think he had a lot of injuries from what I remember.
He played for Derby for a full season, didn't he? Under Lampard. He came back to Chelsea, won the Champions League with him.
Yeah.
and stuff. And then that season, the season before we bought him, he had that long-term injury, and then since then, he's just not been able to be fit like
Yeah.
ever.
It's the United curse, just apparently. Anyone who comes to United are broken, aren't they? Unfortunately, just the way it seems. But yeah, I don't think any United fans will be holding their breath on Luke Shaw or Mason Mount or any other players. To be honest, so yeah, look, it's weird because we've got a bit of a strange week. We've got a week without a game where it's like, well, midweek, should I say? We play Arsenal Sunday, is it FA Cup?
Yeah,
I feel like.
Yeah.
So I kind of feel like we're just floating about with transfer news at the moment. It's very peculiar. Just to end on this because it's topical. Arsenal and Newcastle last night, lads. Interesting, that, wasn't it? Did you see the comments?
Do you want to say what? Yeah, do you want to say what the excuse was that?
Yeah. Okay. So everyone needs to listen to this. Actually, the excuse that he's come up with. The Carabao Cup football is different in its operations in comparison to the Premier League football because it has more grip. So it flies different in the air when you kick the football.
Yeah, apparently so.
That
was almost.
That.
Do you remember when was it Fred who said the opposition was wearing green so you couldn't see him on the pitch?
Yeah, I remember that.
They had an opposition kit on.
Do you remember Klopp when he was saying the grass was too dry, so the passing wasn't?
Yeah. I remember Ty from AFTV saying it was raining.
Yeah. Just, mate, you lost. They were a better team. Just fucking accept it. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
But it's weird, isn't
it?
The narrative around Arteta at the minute, because you compare it to Ten Hag. I know, obviously, you say, oh, well, they're competing near the top. You don't get a trophy for competing near the top, so that's just cut that out. He's been there, I don't know how long now. Was it 7 years? Six, 7 years?
Yeah. 6, 7 years now.
700 million pounds spent. You know, he won a trophy in the
COVID Cup.
COVID Cup with basically Unai Emery's team. And hasn't done anything since. You've got players like Ødegaard who were being compared to the likes of Bruno Fernandes, who's got 4 goals and assists together combined since April. That is madness.
He also likes to mention his community shields. You remember when Jose got mocked for mentioning them, but it's hard to mention them. It's fine. Like he said, "Oh no, we've won community shields." It's like, come on, mate. Like,
and now he's starting to see all the fans really turn against him now. And say, no, he's done. He's done for. We're not going to win the Carabao. They're probably not going to win the league now. If they go another season without a trophy, do you think they'll get rid?
At what point? How many years is he allowed to not win anything? Like how many years?
And if he was to leave right now, would Ten Hag be considered a more successful manager?
Yes.
He's won more trophies, hasn't he? One more trophies.
Bizarre, isn't
it? I don't like as for a team that's not. How long have they not won the title for? 20 years. Is that last time they won the title?
2002 to 3, somewhere around that period. I think
they
won.
So not win a title for that long, and you've got so close, and then every year you've choked. Like you've choked every year, like you've thrown it away. You've like weren't they like 6 points ahead one year? They say.
I think it was during Christmas time that this was the first time that it happened that a team had like an 8 to 10 point gap during Christmas, and they still managed to lose with a 4 to 5 point gap.
Yeah.
How many times can you do that before the board goes, yeah, look, we're getting close to the thing, but you're not getting us across the line. Like
we're getting close, but you're not getting us across there.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So it's just.
I think for them,
it's a weird thing.
I think for them, they even look at the fact that what other manager actually comes in and actually gets them into the top 4, because the last time they actually did it, it was
it's a risk.
Quite some time. It was quite some time that they made it back into the Champions League on a consistent basis. So if Arteta does move, who even gets in there and guarantees them top 4, finishes every single year?
I'm telling you now, they would get rid of him. And within 6 months, every single one of them would be like, "Oh, we should never have got rid of Arteta. He had a plan. He had a journey. He was the one to take us, and we cut it. And he cut it off. It's like you lot were all asking for it, and now you're fucking moaning about it. You could just see it. Arsenal fans are so fickle, honestly. But it's nice to see. I'm always happy to see Arsenal fans have a meltdown. I'm sure you lads feel the exact same. So long may it continue.
Did you see the tweet of a Tottenham Newcastle Carabao Cup final would be great just for the pure desperation to win a trophy?
Oh, it'd be amazing. That actually would be incredible. There is two fixtures though, isn't there? So don't they play Newcastle now at St James's Park?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I mean,
and that's difficult. 2-0 down at St James's
very
Park.
very difficult, especially the form that
Tricky.
they're in at the moment. I think
Isaac.
Newcastle go through to the final.
I think whenever Isak moves now, it's going to be at least for 100 mil the way he's playing right now.
Well, he was linked with Arsenal. That's the funny thing. He's been heavily linked with Arsenal. Now he's probably thinking, fuck that. You know, I've got more of a chance winning the trophy at Newcastle, and they haven't won one in, I think, like 56 years.
Do you know if Newcastle get a really good right winger, that
Yeah.
might be people might be in trouble, because that team, like that midfield, and then the two of the front three are
really
really
well
fucking
balanced.
good.
Yeah.
But if they get a right winger, a lot of people are going to be in trouble. Like they're going to be in trouble.
I reckon they would have been one of the clubs maybe you inquired about Ahmad potentially. With this new deal
Might
and
be.
thing. I mean,
I
why
think
not?
they were linked.
You know what I mean?
They were linked quite strongly with Elanga during the start of the season as well.
Didn't they go for him in the summer, try and buy him from Forest?
Yeah.
They did. I think he was offering 40 million for him, I think. 40 to 50 million. Yeah, it's crazy. But anyway, sorry, we went off on a tangent. Nice to see clubs having a meltdown, and we can say that for once because we actually got a decent result at Liverpool. So let's see what happens against. We play Arsenal, of course, on Sunday. So
if we beat them, I'm going to be unbearable.
I'm going to love it. I'm going to absolutely love it.
Unbearable.
And I have to say,
do not watch.
We've got a really good chance of going there because we've had a full week off. We've just had a really good performance against Liverpool.
Yeah.
Arsenal are coming off a defeat. They're going to have to play another game. They look knackered against Newcastle anyway.
They've got injuries as well. They've got a lot of injuries.
They didn't look good against Brighton either.
We don't have any injuries or suspensions that I know about, I think, other than the long terms like Shaw and Mount. So, yeah, should be good.
Who did you say Shreyas then? He's out?
Saka is still out, the only player who actually is performing for them right now. He's still out as well.
Yeah. So, look, we'll have the preview for that, of course, on Friday, it should be. So make sure you come and tune in for that. Other than that, look, we're 17 subscribers as it stands right now off 10,000 people. So if you are new and you are watching this and you enjoy it and you like us as people, then hit that subscribe button, smash the like on the video, turn on the notification bells so you don't miss a thing when we do go live, because news is popping off left, right and center at the moment. And apart from that, enjoy the rest of your day, people. We will be back tomorrow with some fresh news, some fresh perspectives, and cheers lads, appreciate you.
Yeah.
In a bit.